We apologize for the low quality of this episode. We weren't using our high-tech camera at this time, but hope you enjoy it nonetheless. Welcome to episode 12 of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. Thank you for joining us. This week we're going to be talking about the 1988 comedy action film Midnight Run, starring Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin. B Movie Club, what do we do here? We talk about movies that, maybe people haven't been talking about lately, that you haven't thought about in a few years. Movies that are good, but not so good that they're on, HBO every week. These are more like movies you'd see on USA or or TNT, maybe on at 2 in the morning on Channel 9. I don't know. So, again, talking about movies that, kind of old classics, old favorites. So keep those suggestions coming in. You can reach me at Twitter, or I'm on Facebook. You can also leave comments on YouTube about what movies we should talk about. So keep them coming. This week, like I said, 1988's Midnight Run. It's about a bounty hunter played by Robert De Niro who has to go to New York and get this. He's an accountant who embezzled $15 million from the mob and gave it to charity. He's got to hunt him down and bring him back to LA for some court appearance. Meanwhile, the mob is after them, and the FBI is after them. Everybody's after them. So it's kind of it's a road movie where there's a lot of chase scenes, a lot of action, but it's also kind of a odd couple kind of situation because you have Robert De Niro who's he's kind of dirty and scuzzy. He's a chain smoker. He drops F-bombs every other word. With Charles Grodin, who's very clean and uptight and conservative. Obviously, they start the movie hating each other, and then over the course of the movie, they kind of bond, and it's a big shocker. This movie was originally supposed to be released by Paramount, and they had some ideas of who they wanted to be in it. It was directed by Martin Brest, who had already done Beverly Hills Cop, and had obviously great success with that. Robert De Niro wanted to do this movie because he'd just done The Untouchables, which he played Al Capone, where he's hitting people on the head with baseball bats and all sorts of things. He wanted to do kind of a lighter, more fun thing, and he was actually up for the role of Big. And Penny Marshall, who directed Big, actually really wanted him, but the studio was like, we can't have Robert De Niro playing this role. And frankly, I have a hard time envisioning what Robert De Niro as Josh Baskin would be like. I don't know. Are you talking to me? Anyway, so they turned him down for that. Obviously, that went to Tom Hanks, and he saw this script. He liked it a lot, and he agreed to do this. But they're having trouble finding the right person to play the Charles Grodin role that he eventually got. At one point, they were talking about making it a girl and having Cher play the role. Paramount wanted Robin Williams to play the role. And actually, when Martin Brest said, we're gonna take a pass on that, we're gonna use Charles Grodin instead, Paramount just bailed on it. They said, if you're not gonna use Robin Williams, we're out. So Universal swooped in and picked it up, and they wound up making the movie. Some interesting facts about this movie. They actually used the F word 117 times. And if you've seen this movie, that seems like a low estimate because it seems like every other word between De Niro and all the mob guys, it's a lot of F-bombs going off left and right. So, anywho, another thing to know about this is Charles Grodin to this day still has scars on both of his wrists because he's in handcuffs the entire movie. And evidently, there's actually a line in the movie where he thanks Robert De Niro for taking the cuffs off of him because they're starting to cut into his wrist. They actually were cutting into his wrists. So, that's a bummer. Robert Ebert gave this a 4 out of 4 stars. So there you go. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 96% fresh. And I love this movie because, like I said, there's a lot of action in it. There's a lot of shootouts. There's a lot of chases. Robert De Niro's driving through the desert. They're on a bus. They're on a train. They're on a plane. But my favorite part is just the interaction between Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin. It's comic genius. It is golden if you haven't seen it, because it's a lot of Charles Grodin trying to get Robert De Niro to like open up and express his feelings and be a better person and all these kind of fun things. And of course, Robert De Niro is all gruff and angry and the typical Robert De Niro kind of guy. At least up until the '90s when he started doing horrible comedies. This was probably one of the first comedies he did, and maybe the only one that was any good. So there you have it. It was streaming earlier in the week on Netflix. I'm not sure it's still streaming. Like I've said before, I'm trying to pick movies that you can go online or use your Wii or your Roku or whatever and watch these movies streaming instantly. If it's not streaming, you can still get it the old-fashioned way. You can pick it up at Target or Amazon or whatever. I highly recommend it. It's a great one. Next week, I'm going to be doing one of my personal favorites, the 1984 classic, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, Across the Eighth Dimension. All-star cast. It's got Peter Weller, Alan Barkin, Christopher Lloyd. It's got Jeff Goldblum. The list goes on and on. You can't go wrong. I'm not sure it's streaming instantly. I'm going to check on that. If it's not, this is definitely something worth purchasing nonetheless. While you're picking up Midnight Run, just grab Buckaroo Banzai while you're at it. I'm going to put a clip up on Facebook and Twitter. It might be the trailer for that movie. It might be one of my favorite scenes. So look for that. As you know, every week I end the episode with one of my favorite quotes from the movie. In this case, it was very, very difficult to find one because this is a family show. I'm not going to start using foul language. I want you to be able to sit here with your children and your parish priest, whatever you need to do, to appreciate it. One of my favorite lines comes, Charles Grodin is trying to get Robert De Niro to express his feelings, and Robert De Niro turns to him and says,